Is this your first time at Constellation? Whoa! So I'm Jessica. This is Junae. Where is Armin? Where's Armin?
I think they just went upstairs.
Okay, Armin's around. Armin is important, as is Eli. Where's Eli?
Eli's upstairs.
Okay, Armin and Eli. Woo! Armin and Eli! We'd like to welcome you to the 26th Constellation. Yeah. And we are so happy to bring together all of you, this audience, in this room, and those who are joining us via live stream. As we gather in this space, it's important to acknowledge that we are gathering during a time of struggle and violence against many peoples. The Palestinian people continue to be brutalized by the decades-long American-funded genocide and colonial violence of Israeli apartheid. We also stand in solidarity. We also stand in solidarity with victims of genocide in Sudan and Congo, and with the indigenous peoples, the Multnomah, Kathlamet, Clackamas, Tumwater, and Walla Cascade bands of the Chinook, as well as the Tuolumne and Kalapuya, and many other recognized and unrecognized indigenous nations of the Columbia River. This is a place in which many promises have not been kept, and we acknowledge our responsibility to work in material ways toward land rematriation, land back. We stand firmly against anti-Blackness and recognize that police violence and all white supremacist violence must be named and opposed. We stand with immigrants, against whom the current federal administration is carrying out horrifying acts of violence, imprisonment, and erasure. These forms of violence, along with transphobic violence being legislated across the United States, endanger the lives of trans, queer, gender nonconforming, and non-binary people. Therefore, as we begin our event, we wish to underscore that none of us are free until all of us are free, and that all anti-racist, liberationist, and decolonial struggles are intertwined.
That's right. That's right.
And we thank the Radius of Arab American Writers for crafting this statement and getting it to us. We also say this with the intention to make good use of this time. Before we get started, we just hear the baby Mari, who's so cute, for their generosity in opening this space to us. I'm going to again thank Armin and Eli for setup tonight. And thanks to each of you for honoring our COVID policy, which is masks down here, masks optional upstairs. So thank you for looking out for each other. We still do this. This is what it's about. It's about community care. You might be here because you know somebody reading tonight, which is a really good reason to be here. We also just hope you come back. We're here almost every month. We take July and December off, and Constellation is for coming back to. We usually are here on the second Thursday of each month. So without further ado, I'm going to move this.
Is that what
Mike? That's what it is. It took me a minute to figure it out. I'm going to move this away. Yes, and thanks for your patience with us always. And Junae's gonna introduce Wayne.
I'm gonna second the thanks for your patience with us always, as we're like, oh, I mean, this is a good problem. It's not a problem to have, but look at how many people are here. So exciting. This is our last reading before our little break in July, and it's as they all are. This is an awesome one. It's really special. We love when people who are regular attendees and like participants in the community get to read, and then we love to have it like grounded in community and to bring in like new visiting folks. It just feels like so special, and that's what we have tonight. So thank you everybody for being here. I'm super excited to introduce Wayne Bund, who is one of our regular Constellation attendees, community members, super sweetheart, and really fucking cute. When you said your headshots with your bio, I was like, oh, you're so cute. I know people tell you that all the time. Okay, Wayne Bund, he, him, is a writer, a visual artist, and performer whose place-based work explores the intersection of fantasy and identity. His work centers on how a queer body moves through and reshapes landscapes. His writing documents people and systems, real and fictional, forging historical records. He crafts stories that exist outside of normative structures, prioritizing feminist and queer agendas and celebrating the weird and the magical. He wrote an evening-length solo performance in 2017 called Strong Female Protagonist and performed the play in Portland. Born in Portland and raised on a farm in Boring, he is a unicorn. People say that's like a thing we say. If you're not from Portland, like if people are from Portland, we say you're a unicorn because it's rare. He has a Pisces with a Scorpio rising. He has worked as a professional photographer for 15 years and has photographed Jinx Monsoon for Vogue magazine. His work has been shown at Seattle Art Museum, PICA, the Q Center, and PNCA. He has participated at residencies in Lambda Literary, Playa Summer Lake, Caldera, and Sou'wester Lodge. He has received grants from the Ford Family Foundation, West as fuck, it looks like West AF. American Arts Commission, and RAC. He holds an MBA from Pacific Northwest College of Art. He lives in Portland, where he co-produces the queer party Lumber Twink and is working on a novel. Please help me welcome.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me all right?
I'm gonna move that mic up if you can.
Oh gosh, oh gosh. I should put my laptop down. How about there? Is that better, everyone?
Yes.
Great. Hi, I'm Wayne Bund. Thank you for coming tonight. Thank you, Jessica and Junae, and everyone else who makes this possible. I'm going to read a part of an essay and then a poem tonight. This essay is coming from the novel I'm working on, Fathers and Daddies, a how-to manual. This essay began in a place of overcoming fear and the danger of being honest with myself and saying what I want to say. How to Throw a Birthday Orgy by Wayne Bund. Step 1, identify needs and wants. I hosted a 50-person cigar orgy for my 43rd birthday, bringing together my favorite friends, lovers, and sluts. When I look at the top of the triangle of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, I see organizing a birthday orgy for yourself as one of the highest forms of self-actualization. At least for myself. I like bringing people together. I like holding space for people of common interests. I like finding pleasure for the body around kink and identity. I like the sensation when I see a hyper-masculine image of an older man dressed in leather with a large phallic symbol in his mouth. And most of all, I like sex. There are many logistics that come with throwing a birthday orgy for yourself. There is the invite list, finding willing sluts, getting the house ready, making the boyfriend happy while you take over the home for a 48-hour period. And there is the buying of the orgy ham. But first, there is body and memory. Step 2, acquire cigars. On a sweltering night in the summer before my senior year of high school, I walked into the 7-Eleven on Division and Southeast 242nd to buy a cigar. Which is funny, because I detested smoking. My parents were chain smokers. Inside the house smokers. Can you please roll down the window while driving smokers? Got enough Marble points from smoking that they cashed in the little red tickets that come with each pack of cigarettes to give to me and my sister big red Marble-themed luggage smokers. Yet something about seeing a man smoke a cigar turned me on. So it was weird that I was 17 and walking to a convenience store for the purpose of buying a cigar. I was a good boy, in the closet, and never broke the rules. Can I see your ID? Asked the guy behind the counter. Don't have it on me, I shrugged. He paused. Are you over 18? his eyebrows raised. I knew the age for buying tobacco products in Oregon was 18. Yup, I replied, keeping eye contact, doing my best to void my face of all emotions, using all my skills from acting class to just meet his eyes and not crack. I don't understand how he could look at my baby face, a collection of peach fuzz and hints of stubble, and think I was somehow of legal age. My friends always say I hang out with people much older than me. Here you go, he says. Walking out of that 7-Eleven with a $2 cigar in my hand, I felt a rumbling in the bottom of my guts, a match thrown onto dry grass, a need for my insides to come alive. I sat in my car looking at that cigar, realizing I had no idea what to do. Step 3, dads. The fathers in my life are not positive ones. My Italian grandfather, a heavy fog of musk, leather and cedar, the joy of old books, a weight in the air, the fragrance of being pressed and held, the way the couch remembered his shape after he was gone. But there was also the endless pile of Skull vodka, the sound of the cheap plastic bottles clinging as they hit each other, his breath a spray of regret. Grandpa Pisha lived with us for a few years between my 5th and 7th grade. He had been living downtown in some transitional housing, but kept getting into trouble. By the time he came into my frame of vision, he was an old man who sat all day on the couch, drinking and smoking. He was on a downward slope by the time he came to live with us, his mind already lost to the ethers of dementia, and his body beginning to fade from the trauma of World War II and a lifetime of alcohol. I don't remember much of him, but the one thing I do hold in my body is the smell of his cigars, how the smoke danced in the air, entering my every orifice. My father, a shadow of a person. My mother named him after me. I carry his first and last name. Where to start? My father is a sexual predator in the midst of meth addiction. I do my best to not mingle with him. I call him on Christmas and Thanksgiving. I make sure to take him out to dinner for his birthday. Of all my family, I live in closest physical proximity to my father, but often feel the furthest away. It makes sense I seek out father figures in my life. The ones I had were not role models. Step 4. Mrs. Dalloway said she would buy the ham herself. There was a ham at the first orgy I attended. A large 20-pound oven-baked monolith of brown sugar and desire sitting on a red gingham tablecloth on a kitchen table. I was 26, my first time living in Portland as a sexually active adult. I had recently joined the Radical Fairies, a counterculture group of queer, bi, gay men who combined sexuality with spirituality. 2 of my favorite daddies, Ellipsis and Lamb Chop, hosted a solstice orgy. Twice a year, they would welcome over 100 people to their home for a night of intimacy, laughter, and fucking. Their 2-story house and basement transformed into a citadel of pleasure. What is that? I asked the host, eyeing the pork monument of protein and ichor. It's an orgy ham, Lamb Chop says with a twinkle in his eye. My mouth stayed agape. As long as there's ham, the boys keep fucking. Lamb Chop giggled. Just you wait. And lo and behold, between 10 p.m. and 3 a.m., after hours of glorious Dionysian rituals of intention, communication, climax, and congress, I watched an endless succession of bodies descend the staircase from the upstairs fuck rooms to snack and reload on the ham. Around 3 a.m., I came down to make myself another ham sandwich, but it was all gone, and I realized I was one of the last few at the party. Step 5, aesthetics. The narrative of recognizing myself as a writer has been a process of understanding my body. Aesthetics is a discourse born from the body. The Greek word aesthesius means all of human perceptions and its senses. To write is to know the body, know yourself. Devoting an entire day to writing fills me with joy and excitement. I sometimes wonder, am I being selfish? Even when I am creating something for others to consume? I didn't always know who my audience was or who I was myself. Step 6, to know the body. I took my freshly purchased cigar and drove home to my family farm in Boring, Oregon. It was one of those summer nights where the heat hangs in the air into the late hours. I walked into one of the backfields, to a place where no one could see me but the moon. I sat against a hill surrounded by trees and eased my jeans onto the cool dirt. I held my freshly claimed prize, bit off one end, and lit it up. I had no idea what I was doing as I put that long brown thing into my mouth and slowly puffed. Looking up into the moon, I watched the warm smoke drift out of my mouth, a familiar of blue mist. I coughed a few times, getting the hang of puffing and not breathing. With a cigar, you do not breathe the smoke into your lungs, but let it luxuriate in your mouth. Such a thrill. The moon was so bright, where it almost felt like daylight, everything a pale blue. I was sitting among the grass and the skin of the earth. And then I started getting hard. I could feel my cock throb while I took more puffs off the cigar and felt the smoke roll out of my mouth. I fumbled to unzip my pants, resting my bare ass on the earth, and started stroking while I worked on that cigar. I kept jerking and pulling on that cigar until I shot into the dark earth right in front of me. As a 17-year-old closeted virgin, this was one of the most exhilarating moments of my life. I had broken the law, tried something I hated about my parents, and did it all in secret while lying in the dirt of a warm summer night. Step 7, a shadow is born. Ursula K. Le Guin gave my body a name, 1991. I'm riding the MAX, Metropolitan Area Express, from Gresham to Portland, sprawl to center. My mother, matrix that gave me form, sits next to me. She named me, gifted me my father's name. We lounge in federally funded soft maroon seats among the firm forms of public transportation. Our bodies, mother and son, cause and effect, moving forward together, neither of us in the present moment. She dwells, looks into the past as she usually does. I look forward into a book, afloat. I hold a Wizard of Earthsea in my hands. Jed, a young wizard, creates a nameless horror in a moment of arrogance, showing off his powers to his friends. He must now hunt and defeat this shadow, a hero's journey of self-destruction. I sit and read and absorb. I see Jed's shadow, and I see myself. I am a 10-year-old, unwilling to name my desires. I am the one running from Jed. I see glimpses of myself, and I feel tremors deep in my gut. I see him lingering on the People magazine in sub-11s to inspect Brad Pitt's stubble. I see how long he stares at the X-Men comics, where Wolverine lounges shirtless, puffing a cigar, his chest a blanket of hair and muscles. I watch him reading a book on his parents' bed about a boy who gets a magic ring that covers his entire body in thick fur. The ring gives the boy powers, a beard, horns, strength, but also uncontrollable anger and urges. I see this boy, me, a shadow, excited, confused, hard, and I cannot face him. I read on. Jed has discovered the shadow's true name and hunts him. I am afraid people will begin to hunt me. This protagonist was once a boy named Sparrowhawk. Now he is on the cusp of being a man. Jed, his true name. I am nameless. He with name, me without. Jed seeks me, and I cannot face him. I look at men's underwear ads in secret. I pay attention to muscles and beards and deep voices. I look and see Jed. He knows my name, but I don't know the name for this, these feelings. Everyone else looks at me and calls me by that name. Faggot, gay. I hide. I read as Jed reaches the limits of Earthsea, comes into sight with a shadow. Jed calls. I cannot face these names. I see the shadow, stubble, underwear ad, and shirtless superhero with cigar, and I hide from these desires of touch and hair. Jed names his shadow and disappears. Or they become one? I face my shadow, see myself, and we remain two distinct selves, self and faceless. The gears in my belly stop for a moment. I pause. I make a choice to turn away from this story for myself. We've reached our destination, mother and son, Jed and nameless desire. I close the book. I let the shadow go as it becomes named, preferring to sit in the nameless desire of my choosing. If you want to read the rest of that story, it'll be published in Foglifter Journal in the September issue. This poem was inspired by an image from Michael Pollan's book, How to Change Your Mind, when he talks about what psilocybin does to your brain. They've discovered a network of brain neurons called the default mode network. And the idea that it's like a fresh field of snow, and depression or anxiety is walking a path so much that it becomes rigid. But taking psilocybin adds snow onto that field and changes those paths.
Sorry to interrupt, but we have some folks in the back who are having trouble hearing. Can you turn the mic up a bit? Thank you.
Thank you so much. Is this better? Did you hear any of that? Do I have to do it all over again? Thanks. Fresh field of snow. Taking psilocybin changes the field of snow in your brain. Creme brulee, 2 spoons. Double the pleasure, double the entendres, double toil, and sometimes desire can break the walls you erect for safety. Trouble. Default. You walk new pathways only visible by the falling of fresh snow. Modes. Our bodies a soft custard. Your spoon of friendship breaking into my interiors. Bite by bite, each cardboard. A self lost in the blizzard. Our friendship a song finding each other. Thank you.
Yes.
So good.
So good.
So good.
All right. It is my great pleasure to introduce Anthony Hudson. Anthony Hudson is a Grand Ron Sillett's artist and writer. Anthony's theatrical work, from Looking for Tiger Lily to Queer Horror, and performances as Portland's premier drag clown, Carla Rossi, have earned him national fellowships, international engagements, and sainthood from the Portland Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence. Anthony's writing has appeared in American Theater, Bomb Magazine, Buckman Journal, Oregon Arts Watch, and Arts and International Affairs. His first book, Lamp Back, Plays and Other Grievances, will be published by Northwestern University Press in 2026.
First, I just wanted to say thank you to Wayne for coming at me and saying, we should do a reading together. And then thank you, Constellation, for having us. This is so cool. This is a new piece. Can you hear me? Great. This is a new piece called January to June. 1. You celebrate your mom's 85th birthday. Your cat is dying, but you drive down to Salem anyway. You notice something weird in the air, like your parents are pretending for your sake. You're used to the house, your dad and his affairs, the endless cheating, all revealed to her by God. The time she pulled you out of class in 2nd grade, God said your father is going to kill us this weekend, and that she isn't going to die. You ask if she's taking her medication, and you tell her you love her, but you say goodnight after an hour. She can't hear anything that isn't her own pain. 4. Your oldest sister, your mom's first daughter from her previous marriage, texts you and your other sister, her second daughter. Can you guys please call mom more often? Your oldest sister asks. I call her daily and she's very lonely. I've never even been the favorite. You tell your sister that your mom went off for medication again and is experiencing another psychotic break, that your mom needs a psychiatrist and medication, not just calls. You remind your sister that you've been requesting help for years, and you ask her to try communicating without passive-aggressive barbs. I have more important things to do than deal with your hurt feelings, she texts, unless you'd like me to list your flaws. 5. Your mom goes to stay with your oldest sister, who refuses to answer your calls or texts ever since you called her an asshole. She doesn't believe in vaccines, and now she doesn't believe in mental illness either. To her, everything your mom says is true. Last week, your dad was having an affair with a 19-year-old waitress at the casino, where they used to eat every week until your mom's illness made it so that they couldn't leave the house. And this week, he's getting engaged to your 90-year-old aunt, the one who lives like a nun. You and your mom call each other often and unsuccessfully these days, but something is different about how she speaks to you now. She says things you've never heard from her, that you embellish, that what happened in your childhood wasn't that bad, you're just being dramatic. That your oldest sister didn't do anything wrong, and the two of you never had a relationship anyway. You only stayed with her 5 times growing up. She didn't help raise you. She doesn't owe you anything. You just disagree over politics. Why are you so upset? 6. Your mom calls again. She sounds manic, out of breath. She says she's doing really good before she questions your love for her. She says you're against her, that you don't love her because you don't believe her. You remind her about the diagnosis, of when Grandma found her in the backyard and she went to the ER the first time she was committed. You were just as convinced about the affairs when I was a kid too, and that's all you talk about, you say, crying. Why would you tell a kid all those things? You break. Why did you say Dad molested me? She falters and takes a breath. Because it's true. 7. You get a text from your mom that night. I never bashed my head on rocks, she writes. Why would you say that? You block your mom's number and go to Maui for your last birthday in your 30s. 8. Your birthday begins with silent crying in the hotel bathroom. You can't cry too loud because your partner might hear you and you don't want to burden him any more than you already have. Hawaii is for healing. 9. Your mom comes home from staying with your oldest sister. She's filed for divorce. The paperwork is filled out in your sister's handwriting. It asks for half of everything, including your dad's personal savings. You hear the sadness in his voice on the phone, but he's convinced everything will be fine if he can just get her to take her meds. Your other sister calls, crying. 10. On Monday, you ask your best friend if he can give you the address to your friend Nora. She's been in jail in West Virginia since she killed her father over a year ago, and you can't stop thinking about her. You haven't told anyone about her because she's trans, and the news stories were already awful enough. Nor do you tell anyone that you agree with what she did, that you believe she was defending herself from her abuser, and that you blame yourself for what happened to her. You're the one who introduced her to nightlife and drag and the promoters and drugs and trauma that came with it. You've been trying to track her down for over a year, and your best friend's boyfriend knows how to get a hold of her. Can he please share the address this week? You can't do anything, but you can at least tell Nora you love her. 11. Settlement, and checked herself into a senior care facility so she could die alone in poverty at God's command. You call and ask why she's giving away her money. She doesn't want to talk about it. She says she was stupid, that the postman stole her checks. You ask her if she's looking into therapy, your one stipulation for continuing to speak with her. She's been talking for a while. You can't handle everything that's happening. It's all become too much with Nora's death. I'm sorry your friend killed herself, she texts back. 15. After the flashback, you begin to unlock more early childhood memories. You realize you have almost none of your mom, and for the first time in your life, you understand that your dad was your primary caretaker until he went to school, got his job, and your mom left hers. On Thursday, your best friend calls and asks if you're sitting down again. You're not. You're in Times Square, but you ask what it is because you'd rather not guess, and that's all your brain does these days. Your second father is dead. The last time you talked, David said he was doing good. He was painting a new self-portrait without hair. A few days after Nora died, you drove by David's house and told yourself to check in with him that week. You went to New York instead. 17. You speak at David's memorial. People say these give closure, but you only feel worse and you run out the second it's over. Your dad was supposed to be there with you because he liked David. He used to talk to him at the shows you made together, but he stays home because your mom thinks the memorial isn't real. She says he's making it up to cheat. 18. Your dad comes to Portland for brunch. He looks so old. He's lost 30 pounds in the now today, your first visit since she was hospitalized. You don't eat breakfast, you forget to brush your teeth, and you drive straight to the medical center. Your mom stumbles into the visiting room and gives you a hug and smiles at you. You love her. You hurt for her. And then you say, I have to give you this, and hand her court papers from your own printer. She looks down and touches them. Why are you doing this? She asks. She says she's not crazy. You affirm that she isn't. She's sick, and it's nothing to be ashamed of, and she needs help. She asks if you'll have lunch with her, but you need to leave so you can be with your dad when he testifies in court. 20. Since your cat was dying in January, you've watched and read every version of The Lord of the Rings. And once you've exhausted those, you decide to catch up on Andor. Your favorite character is Mon Mothma, the Imperial Senator and future leader of the Rebel Alliance. You loved her as a kid because when you first saw her in Return of the Jedi, you understood that Leia wasn't the only woman leading the rebellion. Now you're seeing Mon Mothma break. Her daughter enters an arranged marriage, and her oldest friend is about to be killed, all because of Mon and what she did to protect the rebellion. She casually says goodbye to her best friend at her daughter's wedding when she becomes overwhelmed, disoriented. A rave track starts playing. She moves to the dance floor and takes a shot, then another and another. Alone with hundreds of people, she dances and dances and dances with her grief. Her golden sleeves. Your life except for your full-time job in a theater workshop you produce every year. Work, she says. Can you tell us why? Instead of listing the steps that got you here, you smile and say, I've been working nonstop for 15 years and now I'm taking my first ever break. That night, you download the track to Mon Mothma's grief rave and blast it in your living room. You pick up your surviving cat and dance with your grief. Thank you.
Incredible. Both of you. Incredible. Like my heart is pounding right now. Are other people having like a physical reaction to that? I was thinking when I was listening to that, I got to have breakfast with some good friends this morning, and we all grew up in like really intense Christian fundamentalism, like evangelical, like really messed up culty kind of things, and we left them, and we were talking about, well, what is our spirituality now? And we're basically like, I don't know, but we have it, and we were talking about how we believe in like being connected to our ancestors, and how we believe in blessings, and I feel like that was like a blessing, like, and this space feels like a blessing. I was just having such a reaction to these readings tonight. Thank you. Yeah, give me a second. This is a special evening tonight. We usually have 3 readers, but we have 4 because we get to collaborate with our friends at Tin House and host this wonderful person, writer. How do you say your last name? Is it Lehman? Lehman. Casey Lehman, who we were able to luckily add into the lineup tonight. So excited. I thought about reading your project description tonight because it's so cool, but maybe you will tell people about it a little bit. But we're so happy you're joining us tonight. So stoked that the timing worked out. Casey Lehman is a fiction writer and oral storyteller who enjoys music, mysteries, and the rare luxury of a midday nap. Her work focuses on exploring the lives of Black women, the secrets they carry from generation to generation, and how biases like colorism and featureism affect self-perception and worldview. When not introducing her kids to the 90s music or selling real estate in her hometown of Los Angeles, California, Casey contemplates and sometimes chats with the characters that live in her head until she gets them on the page. A graduate of UCLA, Casey's writing has received support from Martha's Vineyard Institute of Creative Writing, Root Roots, Wounds, Words, Roots, Wounds, Words Incorporated, the Hurston Wright Foundation, and Afra Arts, and PEN America. She is also a 2025 Tin House Summer resident. Her writing has landed her placement in several writers' workshops, including Tin House, Lighthouse Writers, and the Kenyon Review. Her work is coming in Callaloo Literary Journal. Help me welcome Casey.
This is so exciting. Thank you for having me here. I really want to thank Lance and AL and the whole Tin House family. Woo! This has been such an incredible experience and a different type of solitude to be able to deal with the work. The piece that I'm going to read is one that I got a chance to play around with in the time that I've been here in your beautiful city of Portland. Portland is gorgeous. I'm from LA, but Portland is gorgeous. So I am working on a short story collection which is entitled The Sum of Our Choices. And what that collection is interested in is Black Christianity and the Black church. And the way in which one's personal life and spiritual life might rub up against one another. And the way in which the desire and the effort to be pious might make people perform or be penitent or both. And so this piece I kind of got a chance to play with since I've been here. I feel like now might be the first story in the collection. And it is called Deathbed. And I'd like to dedicate this to my grandmother who passed away at the age of 97. My family called themselves trying to prepare me for death. I run shit around here. Deanie, darling, I'm here. Right here, baby. I told my daughters Verity and Frankie to get up out of here. They've been sitting over me, arguing about whether I want pink roses or white lilies as my funeral spray. The hell I want to hear that for? And when they not in here, they on the phone all day with family and church folks, bragging on all the old celebrities I've outlived. Cecily Tyson, Poitier, Belafonte, even the Queen of England. Don't let nobody tell you nothing about getting old, you hear? If you're lucky enough to get to the age of 99 like me, you tell them. It's a supposed badge of honor, and it is, until your body decides it just don't want to be no more. Do no more. Your mind is thinking one thing, your body another. And forget your heart, just forget it. It's forgetting you, beat by ever slowing beat. I see you, baby, I see you. Can you see me? My eyes hurt. In fact, everything hurts, or it don't feel like nothing at all. When Verity come in here to clean me up for the day, she asked if I knew I was going to the bathroom on myself, and I told her, I guess not. Can't feel nothing down there except the scratchiness of these supposed Egyptian cotton sheets she and Frankie bought me, and everything smells. Now I know I sound like I'm complaining, but I am thankful to God for giving me more than a reasonable portion of health. And although I'm not ready for whatever is coming, I accept it, I guess. At least I saw some great-grandbabies, praise his name. Most folks don't get to do that. Come on, baby. Just come on through the gates. Now, what's fucking with me is since I opened my eyes this morning is my late husband, James, has been right above me, all dressed in white, floating like he's one of heaven's angels. It's only right. He was a good man here on earth. He's calling and reaching for me, but I can't reach back unless I close my eyes. And when I do, he's gone. And that makes me wonder, where am I going? I may not be an angel, but Lord knows I did the best I could down here. I taught Sunday school for over 30 years. And the church only allow you to do that when they see you as virtuous. Spent years in the soup kitchen, made lessons for our overseas correspondence course, and housed a few folks from time to time that were down on their luck, bore some pain that wasn't mine to bear. When I opened my eyes again, oh, there's James, with the pearly gates right behind him. The Lord wouldn't tease me like that right here at the end. I just have to. Stay with me, okay, Dini? Just stay with me. I'm right here with you. I swear this some old country shit Mama used to talk about when she was at her end, talking to the dead and having sight and holding her Bible stuffed with old church bulletins so close to her while she slept, never letting it go. And I believed it was the devil all up and through her. She was calling names of people she had no business of thinking about on those last days. Made about as much sense as a monkey driving an Eldorado Cadillac convertible down a one-way street backwards with some alligator house shoes on. But I'll be damned, because James is there, right there, clear as day. And I want to go with him. I'm tired. Last few days, most tired. I'm having thoughts myself that I probably shouldn't be having. Dini, baby, what is taking you so long? Now hold on a damn minute, James. There's some things I wasn't finished with just yet. Like how I want my funeral to go. I don't want nobody up there talking long and wrong over my body. And I want certain pictures in the obituary, the ones where I look my best and my happiest. I wish I had put it together myself so I could know what was going to be said and shown. I remember how badly Verity scolded me when Mama died, talking about how I put too much of her business in the obituary. Said it should have only celebrated her and nobody needed to know that many details about her life. She went on and on telling me it wasn't my place to share what Mama hadn't shared with others herself. I didn't argue with her. Grandparents and grandbabies have a special bond, but I was gonna do what I wanted to do. Say what I wanted to say. That was my mama. And nobody living knew her how I knew her. Better than I knew her. And it was still a celebration. I just offered up some clarity. She wasn't perfect, as so many people made her out to be. She had demons. She had good and bad. She had secrets that I had to bear witness to. And if the members of the church couldn't take her off her pedestal at death, then when could they? I'm not perfect either. Far from it. I curse. I learned how to make perfect margaritas for James since he liked a little tequila, and sometimes I make one for myself. I like Las Vegas and buying me a weekly scratcher too. Yes. And I divorced once, yes, and married twice. And then, Francisco, of course. Yes. Francisco Flores. I always wonder if Verity remembers because she was so young, but how could she not? Francisco, the neighbor, tall and red, and who reminded me of Nat King Cole except for a silver streak in his silky hair and his eyes copper brown like a penny. A kind man who noticed my marriage to my first husband was killing me. Hell, I was killing myself not giving a divorce to a man who asked me for one right after we had Verity. Francisco, who offered fruits and vegetables from his garden every week and gave me tips to keep mine growing. Who taught Verity to say adios and tie her shoelaces. Who I know called the police on nights when things got too loud and violent in our house. The night my husband pushed my head into a wall hard enough to crack the plaster. It was Francisco who came over after my husband stumbled out and treated my bruises with homemade salves and ointments, bandaged me, and who let me rest while he cooked for me in Verity, and who, while I healed, talked to me earnestly, tears in his eyes, about the family he left behind. And though he was settled in Los Angeles now and petitioning to have them join him, he was fearful it wouldn't work out and they would never come. who reminded me I was still young with so much life ahead of me, and sometimes divorce is a good thing, who held my face in his hands gently and told me I was beautiful, and his touch felt like he meant it, and who, after some time, and with much patience, showed me what lovemaking was. Until then, the only tenderness I knew was to be forgiving. Francisco, who put up no fight when after a month my husband came back broken, seemingly for good. And when my belly started to swell and my husband just assumed it was his, asked no questions. When I gave birth to Frankie, I counted the days my husband would stay, and he didn't make it a year, his feet shuffling heavy against the floor as he walked out for the last time. And by the time he left, Francisco had reunited with his family, had finally gotten him over the border. We became neighbors again, the kind that waved to one another from afar. And it wasn't long before I moved the girls and I in with Mama. On our last day, as the moving truck was getting packed up, he stood in the front lawn, watering it for a really long time. His wife and son on the porch behind him. Verity blew him a kiss and said, "Adios." And we pulled off. And I never told nobody, not even Mama. Though how she looked at Frankie, especially as she matured and a streak of silver prematurely started to pop up in her hair, I knew she knew. And if anybody at church has something to say about it, I blame the Cherokee in our family for Frankie looking so different from Verity. And Mama always agreed, telling folks how Frankie went back into her ancestry for her complexion. And that was that. When I met and married James, my girls loved him like he was blood, and he loved them right back. That was a blessing. All right, Dee, baby, it's time. Take my hand. Oh, all right. Okay, James. Let me just have this moment to wonder about what they might all remember. It would serve me right if Verity and Frankie want to say whatever they want to say about me in their program, but knowing my girls, they won't. God got a way of reminding you of who's in charge. And in my experience, it comes through those things you wish you could forget, like how Frankie got his green thumb, and how Verity ended up studying abroad in Spain, loved it, and came back fluent in Spanish. I look at them now. Frankie with his hands, Verity speaking his mother tongue, and stand in awe of how a crooked way is made straight. I judged Mama for keeping her own old secret, something that weighed her down all her life, and she used it to help others. I gave her a lot of hell on this earth when she carried the guilt in her eyes, and in those last days in her arms. I didn't put everything I saw in that Bible stuffed with bulletins in her obituary, but I put more than I should. When I think of her now and all that she held on to, really as a way of protecting all of us, well, it wasn't really any of my business. Now, was it? I didn't have to bear her burdens. Not really. She bore them alone, and maybe that's why she left me to hold mine. I should have given her more credit than I did. I hope she forgives me. I didn't let her have much peace about it while she was here, always reminding her of what I thought I knew to be true. And now, here at the end, all I can think about is what I know to be true about myself. God forgive me. James, honey, here I come. Thank you.
We have a little pause planned because we have a real treat for you for our last reader, Jane Marchant. Am I saying that even close to right?
Is Marchant?
Marchant, I'm not. Okay. Thank you, Marchant, Jane Marchant. We sometimes have the capability of doing like cool visual things, and that is going to happen for Jane's reading. So we need just a few minutes to get it going, but it's also a great opportunity to stretch your legs and go to the bathroom, but don't go anywhere except the bathroom. Like, do not leave, do not leave. It's gonna be awesome. It's gonna be amazing. All right, 5-minute break. Sorry. I just think nobody ever
And there's 2 restrooms here, and there's one upstairs.
There's a restroom that way and one upstairs.
Thank you so much. So layered. So much going on.
Thank you. Oh, I don't know if I shared it in public. That's scary. Great. I feel good. I was real scared of it. Yeah. Thank you so much for letting me be a part of it. So I knew Eli tried it, so I think it worked.
But I assume you want these lights on. Yeah, we do that.
Okay, and then where's the best?
Maybe zoom out a little bit. Maybe not.
So good.
And also, if not, oh, you have to go forward. I was like, it's creepy. I would love to do that.
Perspective kind of thing.
I don't think we can get it to fix it unless you raise this thing up, but otherwise I'll break it.
And that was the first time I think it's all
That's a little.
It looks stressed back.
Yeah. I think so.
Do you want to link a little bit?
And then let's just adjust the focus again, and then.
I feel like I'm at the optometrist.
I know.
Oh, this thing. No, okay.
Yeah, here, I'll put it on the slide with some writing. Yeah. So on that.
Yeah, okay.
Whatever that is. Yeah.
That's good. Okay, nice.
Good.
I love it. Oh.
It is convenient of an argument that we, people of color, are asked to hold our entire lineage with us every day, to sanctify encyclopedia or pressed flowers I've collected and turned into botanical plates. Some plants are native to the Bay Area, like poppies. Others, such as eucalyptus, were introduced by white male colonizers and have become dominating invasive species. Others call them naturalized. Adiantum jordani, or California maidenhair fern, or the pretty ferns. The last time I live at home, I take care of my mother's fern in the back bathroom window. I water it lazily, letting liquid spill onto the ledge. The last winter I'm home, the sky is ice blue and mornings we see our breath. My mother and I hike and rise and fall through the East Bay Hills. Sometimes the trails are muddy and we slip and slide, and sometimes white-tailed deer dart by. Oaks arch above us and the light is bright and auric and slices us like glass. I ask my mother about the women in her family. I ask about her mother and her mother's mother. After her operation, she wasn't supposed to be intimate for several months, but she was, and the womb that was not supposed to host a child healed around my older sister. They married in England, where my father's mother lived. None of my mother's family was there. My white father's white mother thought my mother exotic, with her coarse and curly black hair, warm tan skin, and tinkling silver bracelets. When I was 2 years old, my parents moved us into the North Berkeley Hills, into the unincorporated. It is unpleasant and nobody's business. My family is filled with strong, sensual women who in turn were taught that their beauty was their greatest worth. Mine was mine. My value was in how pretty and pleasing I was to white men. This led me to a series of unhealthy, manipulative, and emotionally abusive relationships with white men, eventually ending in a marriage and divorce when I was 26. I began a poetic documentation of myself, revealing intimate parts of my womanhood I was told to keep hidden. Records and traveling across the country, I found lost family and stories many tried to keep secret. I began visiting my great uncle in a VA hospital as he received cancer treatment. Sometimes my mother came with me. For the first time, I asked my grandmother's twin brother, the self-proclaimed last man standing, what it was like growing up with a black mother and a white father in 1930s Chicago. I'd never said the word black to him before. It was forbidden. My great uncle told me that for the first 10 years of his life, he, my grandmother, their sister, and their mother were homeless on Chicago's South Side. Their white father lived on the white South Side with his white family and wife. My great uncle and I grew close. On one visit, we sat on the edge of his hospital bed looking through photo books of 1930s and 40s Black Chicago. He told me he had something for me. He handed me copies of his enlistment paperwork. After high school, he and a group of friends went down to join the National Guard. The admissions officer marked my great uncle and his friends as Negroes. A year or so later, my great uncle and a friend decided to join the Air Force. On the day they were to enlist for the Korean War, my great uncle said his friend didn't show up, but he enlisted anyway. Once again, an admissions officer filled out my great uncle's paperwork. The officer looked at him and wrote Caucasian. I asked my great uncle if he'd ever confided to anyone in the Air Force that he was black. Oh no, do you think I'd put a noose around my own neck? I should have begun by telling you that I didn't know I was black until I was 12 years old. I should have begun, a black man knocked on our front door and introduced himself as my mother's brother. At the end of the visit, we marked his new status, uncle, on our family height wall. My grandmother had given him up for adoption when he was a baby, but no one told me why. Now I think it was because his skin revealed our bloodline. I could tell you something of what being black meant then. I don't think I do now. After he left, I never saw that uncle again. I could tell you there are small particles of blackness in some people's blood. Sometimes they are so small they are almost invisible. I could begin by telling you my great-grandmother, my grandmother, and my mother all suffered such severe postpartum depression that children were sent to orphanages, juvenile halls, and foster care. I could tell you my mother told me that when she stood on street corners, something inside of her begged her to push my stroller into oncoming traffic. I could tell you that my mother appears in the darkest corners of my dreams. I scream and I plead for her to not see me as her child, but as my own woman. She is in the background and foreground of my nightmares. She is a frightening woman I cannot comprehend. She made me. I am hers. I wake up soaked in sweat. I could tell you that I belong to my mother, that she views me as her creation, her trophy. When I graduated college, she invited white parents and white neighbors to the celebrations, and the white people raised their glasses to my mother, congratulating her on my accomplishments. That night, my mother and I drank wine until our voices slurred and we shouted across our back deck. She dragged me into a bedroom and we circled each other like wolves, snarling as we fought to establish alpha woman. I cornered my mother in front of the windows and she spat at me. Shut up, Jane, you alcoholic bitch. I looked her in the eyes and I told her, you were a bad mother. I could release all of our family secrets, all of my mother's secrets. I could hurt my mother, I could enact revenge, I could preserve her, enshrine her, I could petrify her like wood and turn her into a beautiful gemstone she would be proud of. I could begin with two people falling in love. I could write, once upon a time, a young woman named Jean met a young man named Morris. They fell in love and had 3 children together, including my grandmother. Their children grew up healthy and had children of their own, and eventually everyone lived happily ever after. But then I would have to tell you through myriad footnotes that my great-grandmother was black and my great-grandfather was white, that they lived in 1920s and 30s Chicago when segregation was sanctioned by white lawmakers, that both my white great-grandfather and anti-miscegenation laws declared their marriage null and void, and furthermore, health and happiness are relative. I could begin with land. I could tell you of a river that splits the north and south in two, and how when it froze, people tiptoed across its ice to freedom. Freedom is what white people have. I could tell you that along this river are tall trees with broad leaves and towns with boarded up main streets and red, white, and blue flags with X's on them. I could tell you that clapboard houses and wrought iron gates and white pillars and mobile and shotgun homes sit side by side, and I could begin by telling you my great-grandmother was born on this land. I could tell you that on this land is a public swimming pool called Crystal Beach, and on the day it was integrated, a 7-year-old black boy drowned. I should begin by telling you that I'm also part Mexican. Much of my mother's copper skin tone comes from her father, who left when she was 4. I could begin, I never met my grandfather, but I know he has been Texan and Native American and Mexican and Puerto Rican and Spanish over the years. I need to begin, Mexican is my best guess. I could begin with my own father. I could begin, just like my grandmother, I have a white father who I feel discarded me. But this is not fair, my mother tells me. My grandmother's father was born in America and mine in England. The law recognized my white father's marriage to my mother. My grandmother's white father left his 3 miscegenated children homeless. My white father lived with his 3 children from the beginning until my mother decided it was the end. My white father fought for joint custody. And years later, on the weekend of the 2017 protests in Charlottesville, my white father donned a British pith helmet and wandered the Delaware garden of his white girlfriend, playing Lord Carnarvon on safari with her white niece and nephew. When I tried to tell him how I felt about the statues and the young woman's murder, my father sighed over me and said, well, what can you do? Let's try not to ruin the vacation. I could tell you the white in my veins feels like poison. I want to begin by telling you that I love my younger brother. He is gentle and handsome and kind. It is important to know that he came out brown. His skin is brown, and his hair is brown, and his eyes are brown, and the dirt under his fingernails is brown. And while I always saw he was brown, I did not always know that being brown cost boys their lives. I could breathe and begin with my own land. I could begin with our crooked house in the North Berkeley Hills, or the view of the bay from our predominantly white elementary school. I could tell you that when my brother was in high school, a white police officer pulled him over and told him not to drive through their town. I could begin with the cemetery across the street from my childhood home. I could tell you I believe in ghosts, I believe in candles, rosaries, and superstitions. A woman haunts me. She walks beside me, a lace umbrella shading her face. There is no rain. Stay out of the sun, stay out of the sun, stay out of the sun. She doesn't turn pink like the other white girls. The sun turns her skin brown. As I type, I hear my mother's voice. Your grandmother would roll over in her grave if you wrote that, Jane. But my grandmother is not in a grave. She is in a jar, and my cousins and aunts and uncles and great-grandmother and great-great-great-great-grandmothers begin. I could bring up slavery. I could tell you how slaves were the highest breed, the most expensive of Negroes. But then I'll wonder if you knew this already. I'll wonder who you are, reader, listener. Are you made of white or of color? If I knew, I wouldn't have to tell you how female house slaves navigated underground their mistress. She was worth something beyond money and law. He fucked her by selling his and her children at county auctions, and he fucked her by watching and cheering as sons got lynched. I don't want to tell you how this woman who haunts me, this light-skinned woman, descendant of slave-owning men, carries her mother's shame. This woman carries her mother's blackness, and if she's lucky enough, if she hides from the sun and her voice and her family enough, she can be regarded highly by her white master. Her master's pale genes allow her to be in his company, in his true white wife's company. Her master's pale genes allow her to serve his high society, and her master's pale genes declare her high yellow. She is of the highest value, the highest in Negro society. She can act like white people. She can pass as white people. This woman who haunts me, I come from this woman. This woman is my great-grandmother. Her white master is the white great-grandfather I am grateful to have never met. This woman is my grandmother who left her mother and siblings for a new white life in Los Angeles. This woman is my grandmother's twin brother's DNA results and why they are 30% black and not 50-50. This woman is my great-uncle's daughter who expertly diverts questions. Oh, because my aunt married a black man, to grandma's blackness. This woman is my aunt who did not attend her own mother. This woman is all of the women still hiding from their mother's black shame. But most importantly, you must remember that it is the white father who placed it upon them. Calla lilies, white like bones. If the bones of a house are no good, the house will collapse. There's no use retrofitting its pieces, concealing its cracks, if its spine is crumbling. My mother loves that.
Blessings.
Blessings. Yeah, thank you for
Blessings.
ending my speechlessness. I'm speechless. Thank you. Thank you all four of you. You can hang out here downstairs with your mask on. You can buy a book.